welcome back to another reaction episode, and today we're gonna take a look at the top 10 most dangerous tourist attraction. And that's how interesting, because as being young, I'm sure that all of you guys like traveling, and I myself like traveling a lot, and I was always wanted to be a tour guide, and I want to know more about the world. And before we start, make sure you hit this subscribe button and put the notification on so you will be the first to achieve all the amazing video every day. Let's get started.
For this list, we've chosen locations that are notorious for being dangerous and that tourists are usually advised to stay away from due to their volatile and violent nature.
Washington was also concerned about the presence of Osama bin Laden. The Saudi warlord went to live in Khartoum until 1996.
We're not saying that all parts of these areas are dangerous, as some other regions of these countries are safer or actually tourist hotspots. But definitely exert caution and do your research before you travel anywhere.
Yes,
Number 10,
of course.
Syria.
Since the start of the unrest in March of 2011, more than 100,000 people
Wow!
are estimated to have been killed. The conflict has also created the world's worst refugee crisis in 20 years.
The ongoing civil war in Syria makes it incredibly easy to wander into someone else's territory and immediate danger of potential death.
Yes. It's very dangerous to live here.
With some government and rebel bases just city blocks apart, being caught in open warfare is a likely occurrence.
It's so dangerous to see guys with guns.
Even if
just
you get
running
yourself an
around
armed
the
guide
street.
for traveling, you may find you have accidentally sided with one of the armies.
خاطر بحياتك وتنزل بهالشوارع بقى يا بيصيبك قناص انت وماشي يا اما تنزل عليك قذيفه طايره.
Number 9, Ciudad
No
Juarez
way.
and Acapulco, Mexico.
Gobierno federal a mi cargo escucha y comparte ese clamor de la ciudadanía. Todos los días, por lo mismo, trabajamos por enfrentar y detener a los criminales.
One of the first things to note about Mexico is that you should try to travel by air,
Whoa.
as the roads can present problems like illegal roadblocks that could result in possible hijackings.
Wow, look at that.
Un mail de sus
Wow.
amigos que lo necesitaban en una marisquería donde estaban ellos, donde habían comido, y él se fue para allá. Y creo que seguramente los levantaron
Oh,
ahí
kidnapping.
y amanecieron muertos, se los llevaron de ahí.
While this
Oh.
isn't true for all of Mexico, the country's biggest dangers include its drug wars and police corruption.
There are easily 10 to 15,000 of those 40 who were either innocent bystanders or victims of abuses by the army, by an army that's not used to doing this.
Particularly in places like Ciudad Juarez and Acapulco. With transnational criminal organizations at large, drug trafficking has become more and more of the norm, and this makes it easier to find yourself in a jam.
No. No.
Number 8, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.
For a
We
fifth
seldom
straight day,
see
a
this
war
image
is
in my
raging
country.
between police and gangs in the slums of Rio.
With its legendary carnivals
Wow.
and festivals, some parts of Rio may seem like a good place for a holiday. But the
Yeah, that's why I wonder, because the Olympic was held in Rio.
sheer amount of gun crime on the streets means that anything could happen at any time, any place, anywhere. In fact, the country has one of the highest rates of violent crime in the world.
Wow, look at his legs. Shoulders, legs.
Se você pudesse começar a sua vida do zero de novo, o
Oh.
que você ia fazer do mesmo jeito? O que você ia fazer diferente?
Pô, diferente não é voltar pra cá não, irmão.
Then there are the spontaneous dangers of cutthroat drug trafficking, kidnapping, and rape.
Mesmo eles usando fuzil, granada, pistola, eles têm temor pelo Evangelho de Cristo.
Number 7, Sudan.
It's 10 years now since civil war broke out in Sudan's Darfur region, but the area remains racked with conflict, with local tribes now turning on each other.
Looking past the veil of tranquil
I feel
camel
so
rides,
bad
you'll
for the
soon see
people who are
Sudan
living
as a
in this
republic hanging in
country.
the balance between war and starvation. Not only has the onslaught of the Darfur conflict resulted in the Sudanese president being indicted for war crimes.
The International Criminal Court's top prosecutor called for the arrest of President Bashir for genocide in Darfur.
It has also caused the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people. The war between the government and rebels has made the streets a constant danger. Number 6. Caracas, Venezuela.
The stench of death is particularly strong on this warm
Venezuela
Caracas morning,
is known
as dozens of
as
people
the
wait
country
outside
that
the
was
morgue
most
to pick up their
the
loved
beauty.
ones murdered the night before.
First, a quick stat to put this place in perspective. For every 100,000 inhabitants, over 120 people will fall victim to a homicide. This means that Caracas is often called one of the most dangerous cities in the world. Why? Its poor neighborhoods have become the headquarters for brutal drug trafficking, violent and spontaneous street crime, kidnappings, and hijackings.
So why people
Put it
keep
this way,
living in
some
these
tips for
cities?
traveling
They
in
can
Caracas
choose to
include
move
not
to
wearing
another
jewelry
safe
and
city.
driving with your doors locked. Number 5. Karachi and Peshawar, Pakistan. Political turmoil is the least of your worries here. Aside from the killings and chaotic atmosphere, places like Karachi and Peshawar host battles between the Taliban and Pakistani military, which can get out of control very quickly. Territorial gang warfare is also a huge danger, as accidentally wandering into the wrong part of a certain area can prove to be a fatal mistake.
You know, I don't know much about the other countries, but I know a little bit about Pakistan because I have some friends on Instagram and now they are living in Pakistan. They said that the world's second highest mountain is in Pakistan. And actually it had a beautiful scenery and mountain range, and it's also very peaceful there.
Number 4. North Korea. With foreigners limited to just hundreds, you can feel a little out of place in North Korea.
If I read a newspaper which has a picture of Kim Jong-il, Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-un, I am not allowed to fold that newspaper in half. I am not allowed to crumble it. I am not allowed to disrespect it in absolutely any way. And by the way, every single newspaper has pictures of their dear leaders over every single page.
So it means like you don't have human rights.
Tourists face strict travel restrictions and are constantly accompanied by tour guides. With a reportedly oppressive and unpredictable regime, as well as an uncertain security situation due to housed nuclear weapons, North Korea can be one of the most spontaneous places in the world, but not necessarily in a good way.
No, I'd rather go travel to South Korea.
말로 표현해도 이해해 갈 수 없는 곳이에요.
Number 3. Kabul, Afghanistan. As it is still an active war zone, Kabul is unpredictably dangerous, with erratic suicide bombings and public executions a regular occurrence. With Taliban residing in Kabul and the government losing grip on almost all of Afghanistan, anyone can become a target. If you insist on visiting Kabul, some would even go so far as to advise that you take specialist war zone survival training. Seriously, if that's the case, maybe you should think twice about going here.
اگر ما بخوایم با سونیت‌ها ازدواج کنیم مجبور هستیم کشور رو ترک کنیم.
I will make up my mind already. I will make up my mind right now. Never go to this place.
Number 2. Mogadishu, Somalia.
The sound of cracking machine gun fires welcomed us upon arrival in the war-ravaged city of Mogadishu. Many of the residents lived in fear then. Children stayed inside, for the streets outside were too risky.
The fact that it's recommended that tourists hire bodyguards to get from point A to point B in Somalia speaks volumes.
Why are they suffering? It was because it was very, very bad.
Look at that baby.
Children in nothing to eat, nowhere to sleep, always running, always dying.
Somalia has become notorious for its kidnappings, pirates, and banditry, and American citizens are often specifically targeted.
Those who resisted could be brutally punished. Al-Shabaab has also carried out a murderous attack in nearby Uganda and threatened the U.S.
Since there's no U.S. embassy present, you'd be straight out of luck when it comes to immediate assistance. Due to the scarce government control, the country is also home to mass acts of gang violence between locals and merciless warlords. Number 1. Baghdad, Iraq.
10 years after the fall of Saddam Hussein, Iraq still suffers from the damage wrought in the overthrow of a dictator and the chaos that followed. Now, as Iraq adjusts after the withdrawal of American troops, what is the new reality of everyday life?
Baghdad is possibly one of the first locations that comes to mind when you think no-fly zone. Despite the withdrawal of U.S. troops in 2011, the Iraqi insurgency continues, meaning the country still houses a hostile atmosphere of gunfire and public bombings.
فتنة صارت طائفية بين الشيعة وبين السنة وخلوها سببها الأمريكان يعني.
Several countries warn against all but essential travel to the country, as Iraq has limited support for tourists when it comes to policing. Not to mention that some Al-Qaeda members make their home there.
I just can't imagine who can go to this place to enjoy the vacation or honeymoon. There's lots of other places to choose.
Do you agree with our list? Which place do you think budding tourists should avoid?
Majority of these places are war zones, so I think that no one should call this tourist destination. Nobody should call this tourist destination. I think this list should be called Top 10 Worst City on Earth, or Top 10 Most Dangerous City on Earth, or Top 10 Most Dangerous Tourist Destination. That sounds more suitable for this video. After watching this video, I feel like I love my country more because it's a beautiful and peaceful place. So maybe before considering traveling abroad, I will travel inside my country first. So if you are considering a destination to travel, please put Vietnam into your list. I'm sure that you won't regret. Okay guys, that's my reaction for today's episode. I do hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to put it a thumbs up, and please comment down below to let me know which city do you think is the most dangerous tourist destination in the world. It's time to say goodbye. I love you guys so much. Goodbye. Mwah.